Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty and looked out at the stars through the massive viewing window. The ship stretched 3 kilometers long and carried 2,000 people who would make history today. Earth's first. Faster-than-light ship was ready for its maiden voyage to another star system. Jake had trained for this moment his entire life but still felt the weight of 8 billion people watching from Earth.dr. Lisa Grant worked at her science station checking the quantum drive systems one final time. The drive used technology that humanity had discovered only 50 years ago when strange energy readings came from the edge of the solar system. Scientists worked day and night to understand the mysterious signals and finally created the quantum fold drive that could bend space itself. Lisa ran her fingers across the control panel and smiled as all systems showed green lights. Commander Alex Parker reviewed security protocols at his tactical station. The Liberty carried advanced weapons and shields, but Alex hoped they would never need them. This mission was about exploration and discovery, not war. He checked the fighter bay where 30 small ships waited with their pilots ready for launch if needed. The fighters were fast and agile, designed to protect the Liberty. During their long journey to the stars, the destination was Kepler 442b, world that might support life located 1,200 light-years from Earth. The journey would take 3 months using the quantum drive instead of thousands of years with normal propulsion. Jake looked at his crew and felt proud of each person aboard the Liberty. They came from every nation on Earth and worked together as one team with one goal: to take humanity to the stars for the first time. Communications Officer Sarah Davis received final messages from Earth as governments and families said goodbye to the crew. The president of Earth Alliance spoke directly to Jake through the main screen, wishing them luck and safe travels. Millions of people gathered in cities around the world to watch the departure on giant screens. Children drew pictures of the Liberty and sent them to the crew through digital messages that made everyone smile. Chief Engineer Maria Santos monitored the massive engines that would power their journey. The quantum drive required precise energy levels, and any mistake could tear the ship apart or strand them between dimensions. Maria had helped design these engines and knew them better than anyone else alive. She spoke to them like old friends and promised they would bring everyone home safely to Earth. The Liberty moved slowly away from Earth's orbital shipyard, where it had been built over 10 years. Thousands of workers had given their lives to this project, using materials from asteroid mines and technology from the brightest mines on Earth. The ship contained everything needed for a long voyage, including farms for food manufacturing facilities, for repairs and entertainment areas to keep the crew happy during the journey. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Bell prepared his fighter squadron for the unknown. His pilots came from different air forces around Earth but trained together for 5 years to become the best space fighter unit ever created. Ryan felt responsible for protecting the Liberty and everyone aboard. His fighters carried advanced weapons and could operate independently if the main ship faced trouble. Jake walked through the ship's corridors and visited different departments before the big moment. In the medical bay, Dr. Kate Adams prepared equipment for any injuries or illness during the voyage. The kitchen staff, led by Chef Danny Rodriguez, planned meals that would remind people of home. In the recreation areas, families with children played games and tried to stay calm before the historic departure. The cargo bays held supplies for 3 years and scientific equipment to study whatever they found at their destination. Robotic probes would launch from the Liberty to explore planets and moons while the crew stayed safe aboard the ship. Advanced sensors could detect life signs, atmosphere composition, and mineral resources from millions of kilometers away. Lisa announced that all systems were ready for quantum fold activation. The energy levels reached optimal parameters, and the navigation computer calculated the exact path through folded space to their destination. Jake took a deep breath and looked at his crew one final time. These people would either return as heroes or never return at all, but they accepted the risk to advance human knowledge and exploration. The moment arrived, and Jake gave the order to engage the quantum drive. Reality began to shift around the Liberty as space itself bent and twisted. The stars outside stretched into long lines of light, and the ship entered a tunnel of swirling energy. Every person aboard felt a strange sensation as they moved faster than light for the first time in human history. Earth disappeared behind them as the Liberty traveled through the quantum fold toward its destination. The journey that should take thousands of years would now take only months, thanks to human determination and scientific achievement. Jake smiled as he realized they were no longer just people from Earth, but the first humans to travel between the stars. The quantum fold carried them through dimensions beyond normal space, where time moved differently, and the laws of physics bent to allow faster-than-light travel. The Liberty's hull glowed with strange energy as it surfed the cosmic currents toward a distant world that might change everything humanity thought they knew about life in the universe. As the ship settled into its quantum fold trajectory, Jake made an announcement to the entire crew. He told them they were now part of history and that their names would be remembered forever as the first humans to leave the solar system. The crew cheered and hugged each other, knowing they had taken the biggest step in human evolution since. The first person looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there waiting for them. 3 months later, the Liberty dropped out of quantum fold near the Kepler 442 system, and Captain Jake Morrison could not believe what appeared on the main screen. The system was not empty, as they expected, but filled with massive structures that could only be built by intelligent life. Gleaming cities floated in space around several planets, while ships moved between them in organized patterns that showed advanced civilization. Dr. Lisa Grant's sensors detected technology far beyond anything humans had ever imagined. The alien structures used energy sources that her instruments could barely measure and materials that seemed to bend light around them. Lisa worked frantically to understand what they were seeing while trying to determine if these beings posed a threat to the Liberty or to Earth itself. Commander Sarah Davis detected incoming transmissions on frequencies that human science had never explored. The signals carried complex mathematical patterns that suggested intelligence, but the language was completely unknown. Sarah activated every translation protocol the Liberty carried while hoping these aliens would be peaceful and willing to communicate with the first humans to visit their home. The alien ships approached slowly and carefully, as if they too were surprised by the unexpected visitors. Jake ordered all weapons powered down and shields raised to defensive levels only. He wanted to show these beings that humans came in peace but would defend themselves if necessary. The next few minutes would determine whether humanity made friends or enemies among the stars. One of the alien vessels moved closer to the Liberty and projected a beam of light that somehow translated their language into perfect English. A voice spoke through the communication system with words that would change human history forever. The speaker identified himself as Ambassador Cole of the Zephyrian Federation and welcomed the humans to their star system with genuine warmth and curiosity. Ambassador Cole explained that his people had been monitoring Earth's radio signals for decades and were amazed by human progress. Most species in the galaxy took thousands of years to develop faster than light travel, but humans had achieved it in less than a century of spaceflight. The Zephyrians were peaceful explorers and scientists who valued knowledge above all else, and were excited to meet another species that shared their love of discovery. Jake felt relief wash over him as he realized these aliens meant no harm to humanity. He introduced himself and his crew while explaining their mission to explore the galaxy and search for other intelligent life. The Zephyrians invited the Liberty to orbit their main world so both species could learn from each other and begin what they hoped would be a long friendship. The Zephyrian homeworld was beautiful beyond description, with blue oceans and green continents that reminded the humans of Earth. Cities of crystal and metal rose from the surface, while floating platforms moved through the atmosphere carrying citizens about their daily lives. Dr. Lisa Grant recorded everything she could see, knowing that Earth scientists would study these images for decades. Ambassador Cole shared the history of his people and their exploration of nearby star systems. The Zephyrians had made contact with 17 different species over the past 1,000 years and learned that the galaxy was full of life, but most civilizations kept to themselves. Some species were friendly while others were hostile, but all respected the Zephyrian commitment to peace and knowledge. As the Liberty settled into orbit around the Zephyrian world, the crew began cultural exchanges through video communications. Human children on the ship drew pictures for young Zephyrians, while scientists from both species shared discoveries and theories. Chef Danny Rodriguez prepared Earth foods for the aliens to try, while Zephyrian cooks sent recipes that used ingredients humans had never imagined. The peaceful meeting was interrupted when Sarah Davis detected new ships entering the system. These vessels were different from the elegant Zephyrian craft and moved with aggressive military precision. Ambassador Cole's expression changed to one of fear and concern as he identified the newcomers as ships from the Korath Empire. The Korath were a militaristic species that conquered worlds for their resources and enslaved populations to work in their mines and factories. They had been expanding across the galaxy for centuries and had destroyed dozens of civilizations that tried to resist them. Cole explained that the Korath must have detected the Liberty's quantum signature and followed it to this system. Jake felt his stomach drop as he realized that humanity's first contact had led a hostile alien empire directly to peaceful beings who had welcomed them as friends. The Korath ships surrounded both the Liberty and the Zephyrian fleet, while demanding that both species surrender immediately. Their commander spoke in harsh tones that needed no translation to convey the threat they represented. The Korath leader announced that he was General Vex of the 5th Conquest Fleet, and that this system now belonged to the Empire. He demanded to know the location of Earth so that his forces could claim it as well. The general made it clear that resistance would result in the complete destruction of both the Liberty and every Zephyrian ship in the system. Jake looked at his crew and saw determination in their eyes despite the overwhelming odds they faced. The Liberty was just one ship against an entire fleet, but they would not abandon their new friends or reveal Earth's location to these alien conquerors. Commander Alex Parker activated battle stations while Lieutenant Commander Ryan Bell prepared his fighter squadron for combat. Ambassador Cole contacted Jake privately and offered to help defend the Liberty even though his own people were in terrible danger. The Zephyrians were scientists and explorers, not warriors, but they would not stand by while their new human friends faced destruction. Cole explained that Zephyrian ships carried advanced shields and energy weapons that might help even the odds against the Korath fleet. The two species that had just met prepared to fight together against an enemy that threatened everything they valued. Jake knew that the next few hours would determine whether humanity's first journey to the stars ended in triumph or tragedy. The Liberty powered up its weapons and prepared to show the galaxy what humans were capable of when they fought to protect others. General Vex gave the humans and Zephyrians 10 minutes to surrender before his fleet would open fire. Captain Jake Morrison used those precious minutes to coordinate with Ambassador Cole and plan their defense. The Korath had 50 ships against the Liberty and 12 Zephyrian vessels, but Jake refused to give up without a fight. The battle began when Korath fighters swarmed toward both fleets, firing energy weapons that lit up space with deadly light. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Bell launched his squadron to intercept them and immediately noticed something strange about the enemy pilots. They flew in perfect formations and followed predictable attack patterns as if they were following a computer program instead of thinking for themselves. Ryan called out target priorities to his pilots while diving between Korath fighters that seemed confused by his unpredictable maneuvers. Human pilots trained to think creatively and adapt to changing situations, while the Korath appeared to rely on standard tactics that worked against most species. Ryan's fighters struck fast and hard before breaking away in random directions. That left the enemy wondering where they would attack next. Dr. Lisa Grant worked at her science station analyzing Korath technology and discovered something important about their ships. The enemy vessels used advanced computers to control most systems, but lacked the creative programming that humans would have included. Lisa realized that the Korath were efficient but not innovative, and this might be the key to defeating them. Chief Engineer Maria Santos did something that would have horrified any engineering instructor, but might save their lives. She began modifying the Liberty's weapon systems by connecting them directly to the quantum drive in ways that violated every safety protocol ever written. Maria knew that her jury-rigged modifications could destroy the ship, but they might also create devastating new weapons that the Korath had never encountered. The first test of Maria's modifications came when she fired the main guns through a quantum field that amplified their power by factors that should have been impossible. The beam punched through 3 Korath ships in a single shot and left their hulls twisted into shapes that defied physics. General Vex's voice crackled over communications, demanding to know what kind of weapon the humans had used. Commander Alex Parker coordinated with Zephyrian tactical officers and discovered that their logical approach to warfare perfectly complemented human intuition and creativity. The Zephyrians calculated precise firing solutions while humans provided unpredictable strategies that kept the enemy off balance. Together, they created a fighting force that was greater than the sum of its parts. Dr. Lisa Grant attempted something that any computer expert would have called impossible, but desperation drove her to try anyway. She used human neural patterns to interface directly with captured Korath computer systems and discovered that her brain could process their data in ways their own programmers never intended. Lisa hacked into their communications network and learned the positions and weaknesses of every ship in their fleet. The information Lisa gathered revealed that the Korath fleet was controlled by a central command ship that coordinated all their movements. If they could disable or destroy that vessel, the entire fleet would lose cohesion and become vulnerable to attack. Jake realized this was their chance to turn the tide of battle, but it would require getting close to the most heavily defended ship in the enemy formation. Jake ordered the Liberty to charge directly at the Korath command ship while Maria prepared her most dangerous modification yet. She planned to overload the quantum drive and create a controlled explosion that would disable nearby enemy vessels without destroying the Liberty. The plan was insane, but it might be their only hope of survival. The Liberty accelerated toward the heart of the Korath fleet while enemy ships focused their fire on the approaching human vessel. Shields parked and hull plating melted under the intense bombardment, but the ship kept moving forward, driven by the determination of its crew. Damage control teams led by Chief Petty Officer Danny Rodriguez worked frantically to keep critical systems operational. Korath boarding pods attached to the Liberty's hull and alien soldiers forced their way inside the ship. The corridors became battlegrounds as human crew members fought to repel the invaders while continuing to operate their stations. Security teams led by Commander Parker engaged the enemy in hand-to-hand combat using tactics the Korath had never encountered. The boarding parties expected humans to surrender when faced with superior numbers and weapons, but instead found fighters who refused to give up even when wounded or outnumbered. Human crew members used furniture as weapons, improvised explosives from cleaning supplies, and turned the ship's own systems against the invaders in ways that shocked the Korath soldiers. Dr. Kate Adams treated wounded crew members in the medical bay while also serving as a sniper to pick off Korath soldiers who tried to advance down the main corridor. Chef Danny Rodriguez used kitchen knives and boiling oil to defend the food preparation areas while maintenance workers turned tools into weapons and fought. Alongside trained security personnel, the Liberty finally reached the optimal position for Maria's quantum field weapon, and she activated the device despite warnings from every safety system on the ship. Space around the command ship twisted and buckled as reality itself became a weapon that tore through enemy hulls and disabled their control systems. The Korath fleet suddenly found itself without central coordination and began firing on each other in confusion. Ambassador Cole seized the opportunity and led his ships in a coordinated attack on the scattered Korath vessels. Zephyrian energy weapons combined with human fighter strikes to destroy enemy ships that could no longer work together effectively. The tide of battle had turned, but the war was far from over. General Vex regained control of his remaining ships and prepared for a final assault that would destroy both the Liberty and the Zephyrian fleet. The Korath commander was furious that primitive humans had defeated his advanced technology and vowed to make them pay for their defiance. The next phase of the battle would determine whether humanity's first journey to the stars ended in victory or total destruction. General Vex regrouped his remaining 30 ships into a tight formation and prepared to destroy the Liberty with overwhelming firepower. Captain Jake Morrison knew that his damaged vessel could not survive another direct assault, but he refused to surrender or reveal Earth's location to these alien conquerors. Instead, Jake conceived a plan so desperate that it bordered on suicide, but might save both humanity and their new Zephyrian friends. Dr. Lisa Grant had discovered something important about the quantum drive during her analysis of Karth technology. The drive could create controlled tiers in space-time that would trap enemy ships between dimensions without destroying them. This would require precise calculations and perfect timing, but it offered a way to end the battle without more bloodshed. The plan required the Liberty to serve as bait while luring the entire Karth fleet into a carefully prepared trap. Ambassador Cole and his tactical officers would coordinate with Commander Alex Parker to position Zephyrian ships at specific points around the battle zone. When all vessels were in place, Maria Santos would activate the quantum drive in a way that had never been attempted before. Jake explained the plan to his crew and gave everyone a chance to vote on whether to attempt it. The quantum field could tear the Liberty apart along with the enemy fleet or strand them all in another dimension forever. Every single crew member voted to try the plan because they understood that failure meant the destruction of Earth and the enslavement of the Zephyrian people. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Bell prepared his remaining fighters for the most dangerous mission of their lives. His pilots would need to fly directly at the Karth fleet and draw their fire while staying alive long enough for the trap to activate. Ryan looked at his young pilots and felt proud of their courage, even as he worried that he was sending them to their deaths. The Liberty moved slowly toward the Karth formation, while trailing atmosphere from hull breaches and sparking from damaged systems. General Vex saw the approaching human ship and smiled with satisfaction, thinking that the primitives had finally realized they could not win. He ordered his fleet to surround the Liberty and prepared to capture it intact so he could torture the crew for information about Earth. Chief Engineer Maria Santos worked frantically to prepare the quantum drive for its most dangerous activation ever. She bypassed every safety system and connected the drive directly to the ship's main power grid in a configuration that would either save them all or vaporize them instantly. Maria whispered a prayer to whatever gods might be listening and hoped her modifications would work. The Karth ships closed in around the Liberty like predators surrounding wounded prey. General Vex contacted Jake and demanded that he surrender immediately or watch his crew die slowly and painfully. Jake responded by telling the general exactly what he thought of bullies who threatened innocent people and suggested some creative uses for the Karth fleet that made several bridge officers smile despite their fear. Dr. Kate Adams continued, treating wounded crew members while preparing for the possibility that they might all die in the next few minutes. She made sure that everyone who could not reach an escape pod knew where to find emergency oxygen supplies and medical kits. Kate also recorded final messages from crew members to their families on Earth in case the ship was destroyed. Ambassador Cole positioned his ships according to the battle plan while marveling at human courage and determination. The Zephyrians were logical beings who calculated odds and probabilities, but humans seemed to ignore mathematics when fighting for principles they believed in. Cole wondered if this was why humans had advanced so quickly compared to other species. The trap was almost ready when Karth boarding parties launched a final assault on the Liberty's bridge. Security teams fought desperately to protect the command center while Jake and his officers continued coordinating the battle plan. Commander Parker personally led the defense using a phase rifle to pick off enemy soldiers who tried to storm the bridge. Chef Danny Rodriguez and his kitchen staff defended the engineering section where Maria worked on the quantum drive. They used improvised weapons and cooking equipment to hold off Karth soldiers who wanted to sabotage the ship's engines. Danny threw pots of boiling soup at enemy troops while his assistants used meat cleavers and rolling pins as clubs. The moment arrived and Jake gave the order to activate the quantum trap. Maria engaged the drive just as the last Korath ship moved into position around the Liberty. Spacetime began to bend and twist as enormous forces tore holes in reality itself. The battle zone became a swirling vortex of energy that pulled everything toward its center. The Korath ships found themselves caught in gravitational fields that dragged them toward the dimensional rifts opening around them. General Vex screamed orders at his crew, but their engines could not overcome the quantum forces that gripped their vessels. One by one, the enemy ships disappeared into the rifts that would carry them to an uninhabited system far from any populated worlds. The Liberty shuddered and groaned as the quantum forces threatened to tear it apart, but Maria's calculations held true. The ship remained at the exact center of the effect, where the forces canceled each other out and left them safe from the trap they had created. Zephyrian vessels also escaped because Ambassador Cole had positioned them outside the danger zone. The last Korath ship vanished into the quantum rift, carrying General Vex and his threats to a place where they could harm no one. The rifts closed with flashes of light that briefly outshone the system's star before fading to leave empty space where the enemy fleet had been. The battle was over and humanity had won its first interstellar war. Jake slumped in his command chair as exhaustion and relief washed over him. The Liberty was badly damaged and many crew members were injured, but they had achieved something incredible. They had not only survived first contact with hostile aliens, but had also saved an entire civilization from conquest and slavery. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the damaged bridge of the Liberty and watched as Zephyrian repair ships approached to help fix their wounded vessel. Ambassador Cole had insisted that his people assist with repairs even though the humans had saved them from certain destruction. The Zephyrians believed that friendship meant sharing both burdens and victories with those who had proven themselves worthy of trust. Dr. Lisa Grant received her first transmission from Earth in over 3 months, and felt tears of joy as she heard familiar voices from home. Admiral Patricia White appeared on the main screen to congratulate the crew on their historic achievement and deliver news that would change everything. The victory over the Korath fleet had spread across the galaxy through Zephyrian communication. Networks and dozens of alien species were now requesting contact with Earth. The galaxy had been living in fear of the Korath Empire for centuries, but humanity's victory had shown that the conquerors could be defeated. Species that had hidden their civilizations from detection were now revealing themselves and asking to join an alliance against future Korath expansion. Earth had become the center of a growing coalition that would reshape galactic politics. Forever, Chief Engineer Maria Santos worked alongside Zephyrian technicians to repair the quantum drive that had saved them all. The alien engineers were amazed by her creative modifications and asked permission to study human engineering techniques. Maria shared her knowledge freely, knowing that cooperation between species would benefit everyone and help prevent future wars. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Bell debriefed his surviving pilots and felt proud of their performance in humanity's first space battle. The young men and women had shown courage beyond their years and proven that human adaptability could overcome superior technology when guided by determination and creativity. Their tactics would be studied by military academies across the galaxy. For generations to come, Ambassador Cole invited Jake and his senior officers to visit the Zephyrian homeworld as honored guests. The alien leader wanted his people to meet the humans who had risked everything to protect strangers they had just encountered. Cole explained that most species in the galaxy fought only for themselves, but humans had demonstrated a willingness to sacrifice for others that was almost unknown among intelligent life. Dr. Kate Adams established medical exchanges between human and Zephyrian doctors while treating the wounded from both species. The alien physicians shared advanced healing techniques while human doctors contributed knowledge about surgical procedures and psychological trauma treatment. Both species learned that cooperation in medical science could save lives and reduce suffering across the galaxy. The Liberty prepared for its journey home to Earth, but would not travel alone. A fleet of ships from 17 different species had asked permission to escort them back to humanity's homeworld. These aliens wanted to establish diplomatic relations with Earth and learn from the species that had defeated the mighty Korath. Empire in their first interstellar battle. Commander Sarah Davis coordinated communications between the various alien species as they prepared for the historic journey to Earth. Each civilization brought gifts of knowledge and technology to share with humanity, while hoping to learn human techniques for creative problem-solving and tactical innovation. The exchange of ideas would accelerate technological development for all participating species. Chef Danny Rodriguez worked with cooks from different alien species to prepare celebration meals that combined flavors from across the galaxy. The humans discovered that friendship could be built around shared meals just as easily in space as it had been on Earth throughout history. Food became a universal language that needed no translation to convey warmth and hospitality. The journey back to Earth took 2 months but felt like days because of the excitement building among the crew. They were returning home as heroes who had not only survived humanity's first interstellar voyage, but had also established Earth as a major power in galactic affairs. The Liberty had fulfilled its mission beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Earth's orbital defenses detected the approaching fleet and prepared for possible invasion until they recognized the Liberty's signature among the alien vessels. Cities around the world erupted in celebration as news spread that their heroes were coming home with friends from the stars. Millions of people gathered to welcome the returning explorers and their alien escorts. Jake made his final log entry as they approached Earth orbit and reflected on everything that had happened since they left home 6 months earlier. Humanity had taken its first steps into the galaxy and immediately proven that they belonged among the stars. The crew of the Liberty had shown that humans possessed unique qualities that made them valuable allies and dangerous enemies. The Liberty entered Earth orbit accompanied by the most diverse fleet in galactic history. Ships from dozens of species surrounded humanity's homeworld while their crews marveled at the blue planet that had produced such remarkable people. Earth had become the foundation for a new alliance that would bring peace and prosperity to civilizations across the galaxy. Admiral White met Jake at the orbital station and promoted him to Admiral for his outstanding service to humanity and the galaxy. She announced that construction had already begun on 50 new Starcruisers that would carry humans to every corner of known space. Earth's children would spread among the stars as explorers, diplomats, and protectors of freedom throughout the universe. Ambassador Cole established the first alien embassy on Earth and began cultural exchanges that would enrich both civilizations. The Zephyrians shared their scientific knowledge while humans contributed their creativity and determination to solve problems that had puzzled alien scientists for centuries. The partnership would lead to discoveries that neither species could have achieved alone. Jake looked down at Earth from the observation deck and realized that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. The Liberty had been Earth's first Starcruiser, but it would not be the last. Human ships would carry their species to distant worlds where they would meet new friends, face fresh challenges, and continue proving that courage and compassion were the most powerful forces in the universe.